G'day, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. My name is Phil. It's called Twofold, and with me is the esteemed Timothy.
I am steamed and ready and hot and bothered.
And the equally esteemed Jacothy.
Welcome. I'm wearing my fleece vest.
Oh, I love the fleece
Ready
vest.
for work.
Please.
It's wonderful. It's a wonderful fleece jacket. Sweater? No, it's a sweater. No, it's a jacket.
Like
it's a vest.
It's like a jacket with no sleeves, cut off sleeves.
Sleeveless jacket.
Yeah. Mm.
Wow. Well, how has everybody been doing on the Twofold, like after these 2 weeks? You know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say that these past 2 weeks have been the longest. I really feel like since we finished the era of Tim's, childhood things that he
like
hasn't seen for a long time. I know, and it just felt like 2 months have gone by. I don't know why. It feels like we haven't recorded in so long, but it's just been the same 2 weeks.
It's true. It feels like, doesn't February feel long? No, January feels long. Which one? Yeah, one of these months feels long.
January never ends.
February was really short as well. It was like 28.
I kept thinking we have all the way till the 30s, but no.
No, not for February. February's always the shortest month.
I had my birthday, so now I'm
It's true.
Hey.
28. Even number. Good.
Nice.
You survived.
I'm 32.
You survived
And
a
Tim's
27 club. I think we prophesied that
survived.
last time. You did. There he is. Look, he's there. Jacob. He's alive.
He's alive. And
Can't
He's
be
alive.
past
He's alive.
The moon colliding with the earth can't hurt him.
Yeah.
No.
Well, before we talk about anything else, I think it's appropriate that Johnny just sends the tune up there and tunes us up with a tune.
You're listening to Twofold Podcast radio show. I think the difference between our energy right now and that song energy is going to be like,
I like it.
Yeah, I don't know. We're just kind of chill today. I'm in no speaking terms to speak very loud. I'm just
I'm thinking just doing like a special,
No.
going back at the time, and then talking to Johnny, so he plays a different song, just something mellow, something. There's like 3 chords.
For today?
Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, just like super chill.
Yeah. Our future selves can insert
This is a late night sesh. I mean, what am I doing? I'm not the host.
Like it.
This is Phil's business. You do this.
Yeah,
Late
I mean,
night
it's to
sesh is
extent it's also
9:30
Jake's,
PM.
right? I mean, come on,
That's
back
right.
me up
I think
here.
I think it's both of ours.
Yeah,
The family
We
business.
grew up with the same. Yeah, the family business.
Phil and Jake.
I love you got the vest for the family business.
Yeah.
You've got Phil and Jake and the children. The works.
Yeah,
What do you
yeah.
do? What is your business, Jacob? You have the vest. Well, what do you do?
I do carpentry. Yeah.
What is carpentry? Does it got to do anything with carpets or no?
No.
Just okay.
Just think, Jesus was a carpenter. So does it ring a bell?
Yeah, but he was close to Persia. Yeah. No, I know.
No. Okay. For a second, I was like, really? You don't know?
Oh man,
Yeah.
but
Stephen Carpenter
carpentry's hard.
from Deftones. He plays guitar, so it's like a
Yeah.
luthier, but more closer to a floor. You make the guitars on the floor. That's what a
Closer to the
carpenter.
floor.
the floor.
Actually, that'd be interesting. Maybe a carpenter is someone who makes
Carpenter,
carpets.
yeah.
A carpenter, and not to be confused with a car. You know what's funny? When I went to the hairstylist a long time ago, there was a plaque on his wall, and it said "Cosmotologist." And I was so confused because I was like, cosmologist? I was like, why would he have studied about about
He's a drinks
space
man.
No, cosmetologist is hair.
Cosmetics, right?
Oh,
Yeah, exactly.
What
cosmetics.
what is the person who makes the drinks?
Cocktailist.
I don't know. There's another one that's similar to that.
Really? Look it up. Like, what do you mean? Like someone who does bar drinks?
Oh no, it's a mixologist.
Mixologist.
Isn't that like when they were doing what's his name? Nicholas Flamel and the Philosopher's Stone. Is it mixologist?
Yeah.
That's alchemy. I mean, no. A bartender
Alchemy, yeah.
can be called a mixologist. Or
There we go.
Wait. Yeah.
So it's so mixologists are bartenders.
Yeah, so that's why I don't know why cosmologist.
cool.
That's weird.
Isn't
But
it weird though?
I
It's
was
a weird
thinking
word,
cosmopologist.
Cosmopologist. No, that's different. Cosmopolitan. So imagine that. Like you find like I can imagine like a I don't know, like a Vice video or something like that. It's like the guitar maker who only like makes the guitar while he's on the floor. Like he the guitar as he's making it has to be connected to the earth for the energy. So it, like so he can keep feeling like if it's resonating, you know.
It's so weird.
Like I just imagine like some guy
on the floor.
like he's got like a special like a little carpet he puts on the floor so he does get his knees dirty, because it can't be concrete. It has to be like earth, like it has to be, you know, the ground.
Yeah.
Like dirt.
The ground.
And he like lays down, he puts the guitar and he has to do everything, like cut it, like, you know, solder it, everything, play it. Only when it's ready must leave the ground.
Have you ever seen how they cut guitars? Like the shapes of the guitars?
No.
It's interesting. They, you know, back in the day, and still, you know, like the higher quality guitars are still done by hand, where they have the saw. You know that saw that's like a cable saw, basically. Like vertical.
Yeah.
Not a cable saw, but it's like, you know, a strip that has those little teeth, and it's going vertical up and down.
Oh, that's a funny thing you say. It's a circular saw, right? That's what it's called. But here's the funny thing: back in where I used to live in Serbia, that saw, like the carpenter saw, you know, on the big table with the circular, they would call it circulator.
Oh,
or circular, and I never put two. Yeah, I never put circular. I never put two together until like later. I was like, circular. Oh, circular. But I've heard that like 1,000 times in my childhood. I just never, you know.
I know. Yeah.
It's interesting. The region I live in, Međimurje, they're actually known for a lot of companies here make these CNC machines. Do you know what a CNC machine is?
No.
Basically, it's that, you know, the slicing of things, but automated. So you have a computer do it.
Oh, no kidding.
Yes,
Yeah, and you can cut metal and all kinds of stuff, and it's like a whole business.
Oh, wow.
Interesting, Phil, that our uncle, Steve, he actually built systems for GMC, that he developed the systems of the software to run the CNC machines back in the 80s and 90s. Yeah.
Whoa, back in the 80s.
That was new back then.
On floppy disks, he sold.
That was like the best stuff. And interesting, my point is that guitars are now, the vast majority of them are cut by CNC machines. And it's cool. If you watch videos online, you can see how the computer just like, you know, perfectly cuts the body of the guitar.
Just cutting those squires away.
Is it like one of those satisfying videos? You know, you watch it and you're like, yes.
Yeah, but it's amazing. It's what's more amazing than machines are the people who do it by hand, because they have to eyeball it perfectly. Because they only have one shot. They have a block of wood, right? And they pencil the shape, and they're so fast. They're just like boom, 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 boom.
I hope they don't miss that
master cutter. You know, 25 years at Gibson. Yeah, look it up. It's cool.
I got another scenario. Like, do you know about like hard Italian cheeses? Like, you know, pecorino and parmigiano and
parmigiano,
grana padano. You know,
grana padano.
So
the inferior parmesan.
When I was the cheap parmigiano. So when I was watching. So when I was watching, like some, I don't know what it was. It either was cooking or it was completely unrelated. But basically, like the good Parmigiano, you don't slice it, you chip it,
crumble it.
You like chip it from it. Like that's you don't like, you ruin the taste if you cut it, right? So you don't cut it with knife. You just chip it off, and you get like this chip of cheese.
The crumble, I thought crumbly.
When you were explaining this about the guitars, like I would imagine like the most prestige guitars, like. The master woodworkers, they don't like can't cut into the wood because then like it'll kill the frequency. They have to chip it off the wood, so they have to be really precise. And they just like with their hands, they're like, and it's like there it is, perfect shape, perfect, Fender Stratocaster. Just chip it off. A little bit of sanding, that's okay. Sanding is okay, but you disturb the frequencies of the guitar if you put, you know, like some kind of
this sounds like you know, the dark arts, the pseudosciences that are like in the wood, you know, resting. You can't see them, but they're there.
And also, like, they have to go into the woods and listen to the actual trees while they're still alive.
These
Like
are some crazy. You could start a guitar company and write this junk on.
oh, dude,
on
like
the
you could
website.
sell like 200,000.
Charge it. Use like Ether and Bitcoin to
Exactly.
sell it
Yeah.
and stuff like that.
And then
I
you have to
wanted
make
to
it on
ask-
the ground.
Right. Okay, so I wanted to ask: has there been any communication with our friend, our amazing subject for last year's
What are you talking
What are you
about?
talking about?
for last episode with
You
to
mean
the ends of
Baggerino?
time?
Phil, the bag.
No,
our
don't
good
bring
friend.
back the Baggerino.
Baggerino. No, our friend.
What's his name? Wolfgang?
No, what is his name? We
Klaus?
forgot about it.
We forgot everything.
Klaus?
You know, the director of To the Ends of Time.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness, his name was
Good thing is
Kaufman.
that YouTube Kaufman. Kaufman. The good thing is that after 2 weeks, YouTube finally stopped suggesting Kaufman and his girlfriend to me.
Alex. Wasn't his name Alex? first
Same
name?
with Alex Blomkrantz or something like
He's
that.
gone from my feed too, but those 3 days hardcore showing up.
Dude, it's just like just the thumbnails. I could see them from miles away. His little face. Face.
What was his name?
I mean,
Come on,
like,
someone
Alex
look it up.
Kaufman.
I'm trying to
No.
find it out. Marcus Rothkrantz.
There we go.
We were not even close.
Not even close. I watched like at least 4 of his videos, and I don't know, guys. That food was strange.
These foreign foods.
They made like a bratwurst, but it was fakery. It was just like
You told me about these
it
sausages.
was just like raw fruits and vegetables wrapped up in like skin of something. Obviously
Yeah.
not an animal, but something else. And then I was looking at that and I was like, okay, but aren't you gonna like maybe put it in the oven? And they were like, you can put this in the oven or you can eat it raw. And they start slicing it. They're like,
Of course, they start slicing it.
and they're
now.
eating it.
Mhm.
My favorite
So
thing about
strange.
Yeah.
well, the only video that I watched, the last one, was when he gives like tips about like housing. And the funniest thing to me
Housing?
is, not
What
housing,
do you
like
mean,
just
housing market?
but he was given a tour of all his houses.
Oh, I watched that too. All his houses.
Oh,
yeah.
I gotta see that.
And
He has
every
a spaceship and
house,
stuff in some of them
every
space
house,
control
he
center.
makes fake things, and he's like, "Why would you, spend money on rocks? Just use styrofoam rocks. Everything in his house is like fake." And he's like, "It's cheap.
cardboard,
It's good.
styrofoam.
Yep, and you can make it look any way you want. But imagine that, like you accidentally trip, half of your house falls. It's like glue gun.
I think
and
on
you were
one
good.
hand, like I think that his, what's commendable is his like attitude to stuff, right? Like very positive, and he's like really creative and trying.
Honestly,
to do stuff.
yeah. I was gonna say, like, I feel like we have a little bit of a. I don't know. Do we want to just say that I actually do appreciate all of the things that Marcus Rothkrantz does do with his time?
He seems like very
Like-
self motivated, and he's very
Yeah. Optimistic.
like just get it done. No excuses. I think that's a very very good thing. But I wouldn't necessarily agree with all the solutions he has.
I mean, yeah, and I think I would be even like, I would be even more okay with his attitude if he wasn't so douchey about it. Like,
Yeah.
it's no big deal. I designed, everything and it cost only $2. Like,
I think
I get
also
it,
the
dude.
attitude,
$2.
Tim, also the attitude of like, for instance, like there's this video where he talks about all the modeling work he did. It's actually amazing how much he's
That's
done.
pretty amazing.
And like the speed of his work is very commendable.
for
But it's
a
just so
moment, I kept
weird.
thinking modeling like he was like a male model.
Well, I mean, like, yeah,
No.
he's,
Maybe he
and
does.
then
jacked.
you said the speed he does things. I'm like, how do you do speed modeling? How
Like,
do you,
quick poses.
Okay, continue.
No, like modeling miniatures, modeling.
Mm-hmm.
And the speed is also amazing. Like he did things so fast. But to agree with you, Tim, it's like you're watching the video and he says like, and I did this, in just 2 hours. And the next one I did in just like half an hour. I did this and I spent all night and I worked straight for 48 hours and got it done in 2 days. And it's just like,
Listened to a lot of rock
okay.
music that night.
and then,
But it
and
was
then
done.
to the
accomplishment is like,
soundtrack of To the Ends of Time.
and then the accomplishment is like in 1993 on December 7th, I did this. And it's like, okay.
And I have video proof of it with like
Yeah.
super cinematic lighting of me working. I love
And
it.
also, don't forget, Tim, that most of the videos tie into the movie To the End
Yes.
of Time somehow. Like,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
brought me to making my first feature film in Hollywood.
And last
with this,
feature.
But
last-
then I was disappointed with Hollywood. Now I'm a raw,
live in the jungle.
nature man. Like I do like his attitude. I do, for like positivity. I don't like his bragging attitude. And then his style, it's definitely not my style. I wouldn't want styrofoam Greek pillars in my house because it looks.
I think it's cool, but
each to his own.
Yeah, but I think definitely attitude is good for sure. Definitely, a lot of people who are also talented could learn from such an attitude.
Yeah, the attitude of the '90s. Okay. So anyway,
yes, Philip, if you please.
It's hard to smooth into this topic, but we
can make a smoothie from raw fruits.
Yeah, from raw fruits. So today is this is just a one-off. This is not going to continue to another episode. Maybe we'll do something later on with more Nickelodeon fare. But what we're doing is talking about Nickelodeon, and I am very excited about this just because Jake and I, we grew up in the States. Whenever we were in the States, there were all the channels on cable, right? When you have cable,
how many channels were there back then? I think it was felt like 40 or something.
Something like that. Like basic cable. Yeah. It wasn't like super special.
I don't think that's true, Phil. Basic. Maybe it was basic cable.
It seems like it is because America is like isn't it like the core of television entertainment?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So they should be having all kinds of they have like hundreds of channels for everything.
Back then, I have a feeling you're right. It was like basic cable was like somewhere around that. I'd love to know the details. Because then it felt like later they came out with these like huge packages of 300 channels and stuff. Somehow I feel like, but someone can chime in. I haven't been there such a long time, but it's like maybe now it's like standard. Like when you buy cable, you just get like all these millions of channels.
I remember
who knows?
I didn't live in the States, but I remember German satellite, and you get like thousands of channels,
and like the obscure channels and the local channels and everything. But I think what Phil's referring to is like the cable service. They got you like the staple major network channels, right? Like
across the states, every child has access to this.
National television, MSNBC, the news, ABC,
HBO,
Fox
TBS,
News,
Fox, but also Fox
ESPN,
Entertainment movies, and then you had the children's stuff,
Food
which
Network,
was like Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel, stuff like that.
Kids WB.
Yeah.
So those were the big ones back when we were kids. So this was primarily what we're talking about are shows that we grew up in from, I think this is sort of like the late 90s to the early 2000s, really close to like 2000s. So it's like 98, 97, 98.
So for context, like I was around, I think 5 or 6 when we kind of started watching these shows up until like 10-ish, 11-ish.
Yeah. And why I picked this was because I'm sure, Tim, you have no idea what this is.
True. The movies, the shows that you've picked, I have not seen any of these. I did not have Nickelodeon.
Not even Rugrats.
In the former Republic of Yugoslavia, or Federation of Yugoslavia, I did not have any of these things. I did.
Okay.
I did have some Nickelodeon. No, I've heard of 2 of these that you had on the list. I did have the heavy hitters, obviously, SpongeBob and Ren and Stimpy. Those are the ones I watched, but these are not on the menu today.
Yeah, well, that's because SpongeBob happened in '99, and that's when things changed. Nickelodeon changed after SpongeBob.
Oh, that's true. It was a different era that came in, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
After
it was
SpongeBob.
dominated by that kind of thing. And
I only watched SpongeBob dubbed.
I find it funny that you have read it. You talked about Ren and Stimpy. That was actually too early for me. I mean, I used to watch it when I was really young, but I don't remember anything.
I wanted to say this,
but it was like early 90s.
It's good
and we're not talking about that.
It's good to like delineate, because I think people who have watched Nickelodeon from kind of like the start would know that like early 90s Nickelodeon, I think, is quite different from like late 90s Nickelodeon. And those shows like Ren and Stimpy are from early 90s.
The late Plesiozian era, we have 3,000 years of Nickelodeon.
So I'll have you know, Nickelodeon started like in the 70s.
See, whoa, okay.
Like 77, so it's like not even like...
I didn't know that.
I mean, like, like it started properly as Nickelodeon in 1979. And you know even what the word Nickelodeon is,
yes,
right?
I wanted to say teach us, because I think this is good educational material.
Yeah, so I associate Nickelodeon with that orange goop and the logo with the white lettering, right? Nickelodeon. But Nickelodeon actually, etymologically, it's actually from the old silent film era where you would go out in the late 1800s and have a big mustache and say, "Wife, we are going to the Nickelodeon." Oh, really? Well, yes, we shall go. I shall pay a nickel.
Should I take a nickel?
To the Odeon, you see?
I'll bring my nickel. Husband.
It's literally that. Nickelodeon.
Where's my nickel?
Yes, of course, my dear.
Let me get my tiny purse.
Oh, yes, of course. I'll bring my big cigars.
Shall I bring the children, husband?
Yes,
But
of
of course,
course.
we get
one
that.
of
I
them
will pay, not you.
Who's this? No, hide. Oh, my lover was underneath the bed. Oh, no, one of the children died of dysentery.
I don't. No.
Pack
Well,
him
we
in.
don't have to pay that much for them then?
Yes.
Hey, listen,
Let's go out.
Phil,
few nickels.
are you telling me that the Odeon Theater also came from this name, Nickelodeon?
Yeah, I think Odeon... I'm not a Wikipedia, but Odeon is definitely a term for some place you go in to watch a moving picture.
So anyway, the Nickelodeons, if I'm not mistaken, were sort of like variety shows, weren't they?
Yeah, but were they? Like they were stage plays, but they
think they were
turned into moving pictures as well. You know what I mean? Like
maybe-
really
maybe
short,
later.
10 minutes.
But
Yeah.
back in the day,
When
like even
Edison,
the movies were like short.
The Tyrant.
Like,
Yeah,
you watch
yeah,
a couple
yeah.
shorts. Like even movies, like feature-like movies, that didn't happen for a long time. You would go and see a couple of like shorter movies, like 10-minute, 20-minute movies.
Mm-hmm.
Just chill
But
out.
I think the Nickelodeon, if I'm not mistaken, was like cheaper entertainment. I don't think it was like anything like high class. I think it was like Phil said, you the nickel, and then you go and
you might get live action. you might
Odeon is a
Yeah, I think
roofed
so.
over theater, and that's the ancient Greek word. And nickel, you pay a nickel. Go watch some stuff.
Oh, I was
so
wondering why you
that's
brought
it.
Odeon. Oh, okay, Nickelodeon. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's it. Enough with the Nickelodeon Odeon definitions. Let's just talk about the actual TV channel. So the TV channel, I think it's just very, very American because not even Canada got this.
Really?
Primarily, yeah. For Canada, it's like YTV. That's a Canadian thing for kids. That's a Canadian channel. So this is specifically very American, and they started broadcasting a lot of things, and then they started making their own shows. And all these shows that you watched, Tim, those are premiered and produced by Nickelodeon.
Okay, so original.
And yeah.
programming.
And we used to watch so many of these when we were kids. And this particular bunch were kind of like the transitionary from. They were there in the early 90s and they were there at the late 90s. So that's kind of what I remember when I was a kid. When I think of that, I think of these shows most of the time.
Yeah. I think that's why I picked some of these shows because those are the ones I remember the most.
Yeah, and you know how it is. Like you come back from school and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna watch my shows on TV.
Oh, dude.
And then there would always be Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon. We would just flip between those to watch different shows.
Well, it's interesting because my viewing habits were a little bit different. I remember I would come home. This is an interesting story. I would come home and my school would finish, I think, 2:30. And so we'd be home like by 3. I think we'd always I'd always watch Full House. That was always like a 3, I think, to 3:30 or something. And my goodness, listen to this, some trivia. I think Phil watched with me, I don't think everything, but like a good part of it. But I think we watched the entire show on actual television, like the reruns. We made it through like everything. Like I think
we watched all of
seasons.
Full House, but that has nothing to do with
I know,
Nickelodeon.
but I'm trying to explain the TV watching, because then after that, after dinner and stuff, then I think we'd watch like a lot of
you
these
just
shows.
binge watch through all these
Yeah.
things, just go back
Like
and forth.
just a couple of
between
hours
Cartoon
of
Network.
finding shows and
I guess you guys are
Nickelodeon
lucky
was a big
because
part of
I
that.
couldn't switch around. I would just had Cartoon Network. So if it was something dreadful like Angela Anaconda, who can suck it, by the way, I would just have to power through it.
You hate Angela Anaconda.
Oh my
Guess where that
goodness.
show... Wait, that started as...
wait, where is that from?
Wait. There was a pilot from Angela Anaconda, and I think did it start with Nickelodeon with that variety show sort of
I
thing
don't know.
that Nickelodeon had?
Ugh.
Because I think it
hated
was
that
like the
show.
pilot, and then it turned into the actual show. My name is Angela. Hey, hello. Welcome to my very own show.
That was the worst.
Wait, what was that on, guys? What
Cartoon
what
Network.
channel was that on? Oh, okay,
That was a Cartoon Network
So
show.
I hated that too.
Why do you hate
was the
Angela the
worst.
Anaconda? What's so bad about Angela?
Super annoying.
It's so boring, that show. Like anything else you have, like even like I hated that, and I hated like the reruns of the old
Oh yeah,
Hanna-Barbera shows.
Yeah,
It's just like they're walking and talking.
Tom and Jerry.
They're talking like in 60s. No, Tom and Jerry is awesome. That's timeless. You can watch that
Do you
anytime.
know? I
But
think
Yogi
that's why
Bear
they
walking in the woods and going.
But that's why they later created Boomerang, where they just dumped
where they
all
just
those
dumped
shows.
all that crap.
Just dump it.
Let's put all the new shows in the actual.
So anyway, we would watch these shows frequently.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
Nickelodeon was a big part of our childhood growing up. And,
Yeah. And because like when I watched Nickelodeon in the early 90s, I think Jacob was too young for that, but I remember it, but I don't remember it as much as the ones that we're talking about now. So like, I still remember Jacob, you know, the tune. Tim, did you ever I sent you some links on YouTube so you can watch some of those bumpers.
I did. I watched
Yeah.
some of those videos.
Yeah. Nick, Nickelodeon. Oh, it's so good.
you can sync that up.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. I love that.
That's
that's one of the that was goal achieved. That's what I wanted to do on the podcast. Just sing.
It
that
reminded me a
little
lot
kid.
of like 80s MTV and 90s MTV.
Yeah, I think a lot of that stuff was influenced in general. Everyone was influencing each other with that sort of cutouty, stop motiony, crazy.
Yeah. Just like
effect. I think everyone was just going nuts.
It was the same
visually.
company. Viacom owned both Nickelodeon and MTV.
It was the
Explain some
hippest
things.
thing for the kids.
But it was
yeah.
the hip thing, yeah. But
It's
I really
saturated
like
with
that.
90s, right?
Yeah, it's very nostalgic to me. I
Yeah.
think maybe it's not as nostalgic because I think that was more like late 80s, early 90s, but I think just the leftover stuff of
Yeah.
that era was very nostalgic.
Yeah. And so there were a bunch of different shows, and I find it funny that once I categorized all the ones that we thought were the most, or at least I thought were the most relevant, like I think I sent 6 of the shows. I think there were 6 of them.
Let me check my notes. My notes.
Let's see. There's Hey Arnold, there's Rugrats, there's Rocket Power, there's Kablam, there is
Wild Thornberrys.
Well, no.
Wild Thornberrys.
Yeah. Hey Arnold watched first Kablam, Rocket Power, Rugrats, and the Wild Thornberrys.
That's 5.
5.
I'm bad at math.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, 5. 5 shows.
3 of those are produced by Klasky Csupo. And Tim,
Listen.
the first thing I want to know, did you notice visual similarities between some of these shows, right?
Visual similarities. Let me think. I think Rocket Power and I don't know. Maybe Wild Thornberrys and Hey Arnold. Maybe there's a visual similarity, I would say. I don't know.
Okay. No, it was Rugrats, Wild Thornberrys, and Rocket Power, which were produced by the same creators. And they were Arlene Klasky and Gabor Scupo, who just were the kings and queens of these animated shows for Nickelodeon, because they produced Rugrats, which was the first one that kind of like got super popular. And it started like in the early 90s, and you know, we watched a lot of Rugrats, Jacob. Don't you agree?
Where do you want to start? Should we start with Rugrats?
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Yeah. I think Rugrats growing up was one of those shows that was okay. Maybe Phil, you can correct me with the facts, but this is what it felt like, that the show was probably aimed at younger ages. So then when I was a kid watching it, I thought like, oh, I'm like too cool for this, but you're at that age where you're still like sort of allowed to watch anything in terms of like children's shows. And so I'd be like, oh, I'm still gonna watch this even though maybe it's for younger kids, but it's still like intriguing and interesting. But it was always like a sort of like there wasn't anything super exciting on the show compared to other shows.
Well, yeah, it's always in the perspective of these four or five babies, right? The main 4 is like Tommy and his best friend Chucky, and the twins Phil and Lil, and then the bully Angelica, who's Tommy's cousin. And they would always be in some kind of like pretend adventure. But even if that doesn't happen, it's always also with the adults. And it kind of, it's like real life adventures sometimes, but always in the perspective of these babies. And for some reason, it sounds like it should be for like little kids, but everyone like enjoyed it. It was really, really popular in the 90s, really popular. And I wonder, because it was so popular, they actually made a movie. Remember Rugrats the Movie?
That's what I wanted to say. That's one of my like biggest memories was when the movie came out. It was called Rugrats the Movie, I think.
Yes. Very eloquent
unique name.
Title.
And it came out to cinemas, and it was that great feeling. I think it feels like there's a lot less of that nowadays, just because how things are produced. But you're watching this show, and it's very sort of flat and small. It's on this 4x3 TV, the square, and then you go to the cinema and you watch the film of it, and everything is like huge and dynamic, and the lighting is amazing, and everything feels so big. And that was one of my biggest memories.
Yeah, I know, right?
And we also we bought it on VHS.
Yeah,
cooler, because then you have that experience at home. And the Rugrats movie is actually I would love to maybe see it again, but I remember it being really amazing compared to the show.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. So Tim, I want to know what you were thinking about when you watched at least one of the episodes that I sent you for Rugrats, because you've never seen. You've never even heard of it, right?
So Rugrats is the one that I knew the most about, and I have a feeling that I've seen an episode of Rugrats, or I've seen part of that movie. Was like a dinosaur or something like that on the cover of that movie?
Yeah, Reptar.
Yeah,
like
something
Godzilla.
like that.
The green Godzilla-like.
I think that's what I might have seen. I definitely was I remember not understanding what the show is about. It's little kids, and you always from their perspective, and they're all weird and ugly looking.
They are weird and ugly looking.
So I wasn't really sure what
Renaissance babies.
That's the last thing I remember. So watching it now, I mean, definitely not something I would go and I connect with. I need to catch up on this. This is I saw it. It was okay.
I think this is going to be a trend.
No, the funniest thing is that to me, I watched the episode where the Aunt Miriam comes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I watched too. Yeah.
The funny thing about that episode for me was thinking about these shows, 90s shows, kids shows with parents in them. I just realized that I've come to that point where I don't see it from the point of view of the children, which I did my entire life.
Yeah.
They are the heroes. I was I'm looking at their parents and I'm I am those parents now. That's me. That's I'm not the kids anymore. I am the problems they're having, and just the background stuff, the commentary on life, and I'm I am more that's where I am right now. It's just so weird
Tim,
that I'm the parents.
That's exactly the same feeling I had, and I wanted to mention this is watching these shows again. I can't believe how different the experience is. I mean, obviously you're seeing them for the first time, but you're also in that same zone. It's I just can't believe just the perspective shift is so different. Yeah, I agree. It's really weird.
But you noticed who did the music, right, for Rugrats?
Oh, actually, I don't think I did. Maybe I my eyes.
Mark Mothersbaugh.
Wait, but Mark Mothersbaugh did the music for Rocket
Thor
Power.
Ragnarok. Yeah, he did the theme for that too.
Because for the other show, Rocket Power, I was this music is bitchin'. Who made this? And I saw the name, and I was yes, get that Mark in there.
Right? I just wanted to share that because that's how I know Mark Mothersbaugh, because I always hear ba 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 ba. Yeah.
But you know who he is, right? What was
from
his
Devo?
band? Yes.
Yeah, that's all I know.
Mongoloid. Okay.
Devo.
And the other thing I wrote down from Rugrats from that episode, which was funny to me, is the 90s lesson learned at the end of the episode.
Yes.
And it was it was such a funny American thing to me, is that I remember that I don't ever seen in real life, but in the 90s, this was the biggest thing, bullies. And the reason you're being bullied is because they're jealous of you.
I was really?
Oh, you mean the ant?
The ant is I was just jealous of because you were so amazing, so I was mean to you. And I remember that's always was the line in TV shows, don't, he's just jealous of you. That's why he's bullying you. And I'm was that ever true? I think it's never.
I don't
It's
know.
interesting that you mentioned that, because that's what I notice as well, watching these TV shows in general, is that you pick up on patterns of how these episodes are formatted. And part of that, I think, is that what you're saying, is that there's that nice ending where things are wrapped up and there's a lesson.
Yeah.
And it's something you don't, I think what's amazing is that when I was growing up, you just don't pick up on that. You don't, because you're not thinking about structure and you're not thinking about anybody. You're not thinking about people making this show. You're thinking about it just exists. Like the show is there and I'm watching it, you know?
Yeah.
And so you're never thinking that there's any patterns. You're just thinking like, wow, that's so cool. That makes sense, you know? Awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know why this was so popular, but I guess it was in the 90s. It was new. I don't know.
They love the babies.
Thing in terms of Rugrats is that my experience now watching it again, I have to say that like I found it pretty boring. Like Rugrats was like, I remember it being so much more exciting when I was a kid. I was like, even though it was like on the cusp of not being super exciting, like I said, my other shows that I liked.
Yeah.
But I was still glued and watching the storyline. But now I was just watching. I was just like really like kind of bored of like the lines and what they're saying, and I could see everything that's going to happen, you know, from a mile away.
Tim, did you recognize the voice of Tommy?
Did I recognize? I have a couple of voice actors that I recognized, but definitely not in Rugrats. Who was that?
Tommy, that's E.G. Daly. She does the voice of Buttercup in Powerpuff Girls.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. That's that raspy.
I guess.
Raspy. That's raspy kid's voice.
Yeah. That's what I wanted.
I was just looking at
how many
them,
episodes did you watch? The episode with where they go inside Chucky's body and try to get this?
Oh yeah, that was weird.
Yeah, I watched. There's a lot of. Huh?
I just watched the one with Miriam.
Oh, okay. So okay. Makes sense.
The body episode.
Disclaimer: Phil put these together, and unfortunately, I assumed that it would be one episode from one show, so I kind of left it until today. Only realizing you have like 4 hours worth of selected things, so I only managed to watch one episode from the shows.
Yeah, that's okay. That's fine. I'm just gonna have to ask which ones you did, which ones you watched, which ones you didn't. Anyway, so yeah, Rugrats was like a big one.
What did you think watching it again?
Me?
Yeah. Like
that's okay.
No, great review. Twofold podcast.
This is like that time when you brought, what was the movie? Ah, shit. What was it? Terminator
4
2?
hours of stuff, and then it's like, oh, it was okay.
Well, I love the style. It gives me a little bit of a nostalgic pull because I remember how it looked like, you know, the music and all that, you know, the atmosphere. And honestly, I would watch some more episodes.
Interesting. So your viewpoint hasn't changed.
Not particularly, but I do agree with what you're saying about the adults because they do seem like, you know, like when you're a kid, you're like, you know, whatever. They're saying things. I don't know.
The one thing is, like, I wonder, all these shows have in common is just the color palette is just like an onslaught on your eye holes. Like it is, like it's how how did not get? No wonder everything turned like desaturated and matrixy, you know, after 2000s. People
Later,
were just
right?
I can't look at all the colors. Can't look at them anymore. There's too many colors.
Yeah. All right,
can I say one last thing before we move on to the next show? And plus, you have to give a little more, don't you, opinion on Rugrats? Anyway, I want to say that the thing that also confused me watching it again, I really tried to watch it with like fresh eyes and like sort of pretend, you know, I'm watching it again like a kid, but now not a kid anymore, is that, you know, there's a couple of like things I noticed in the Rugrats that they were sort of doing some kind of like self-awareness and kind of making fun of kids in a good way. Like for instance, Angelica, she's like the older girl in this group of like tiny babies. And she says like, you know, oh, we're going to shrink into, you didn't see this episode, Tim, but she's like, we're going to shrink into, you know, Chucky's body and we're going to go in and find this seed that he swallowed
because he was
get it out. And she goes,
because they were afraid it was going to grow into a plant.
We're going to go to the lazy beam. And she's supposed to be saying laser beam.
Yeah. They always do that. Right? Yeah. They make puns.
And
like
I was
that
thinking
all
to
the time
myself, like, but I think it's really good. And I was thinking, like, but I thought that, you know, like now having seen a lot more things and as an adult and things like that, I thought maybe they can just do a bunch more of that. You know, it feels like sort of like playing it safe, where they just have this like sort of normal storyline, nothing super amazing. So I kind of felt like they could have done a lot more stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that just came to me that felt like it's on one hand it's very like fast paced, but on the other hand it's like not very you know, like sort of extreme in its comedy or whatever. So anyway, go on.
Yeah. I mean, it lasted for so many seasons too. It's like has 6 or 7 of them. You know, it's like a
it
really,
feels
really
very
long-lasting
ordinary.
show.
Like when you think about it, like the storylines and the dialogue, everything's sort of just like very normal.
Yeah. And Tim, if you want to see something really ugly, they're doing a CGI remake now.
It's going to be gloriously ugly.
So you can watch that. It's going to be glorious. So anyway, there's this other show. This one is different. This one's called Hey Arnold. And honestly, like this one was the most interesting for me to rewatch. What about you?
I have to admit that I also only watched one episode, and I think Phil, you picked kind of a weird episode. I think, or it was about. One episode made sense. It was about Helga, right?
Tim watched the other one, and then you watched that.
I watched the other one.
I watched the spelling one.
Because I had a
the spelling one was a better example.
Yeah, I watched an episode like basically it wasn't even centered around Arnold. Arnold wasn't even in the episodes. But anyway,
the other one was. Okay.
Spelling.
Tell us about.
I'm confused. I'm confused because Tim watched one episode. You watched another episode.
And you watched both. So you're the good.
I watched both.
The king.
So.
Well, I could tell you.
All right.
What I thought of what I saw.
Tell us.
Yeah, because you have no idea what this is.
No, I have no idea. I think
Tim?
I've seen pictures online. I didn't know it was this is Hey Arnold or whatever. I've seen the characters. You know, this weird hair and then like the girl with the pig. Why is blonde girls with pigtails always evil in these cartoons?
No idea.
The one with the unibrow.
Right.
I did recognize the voice actor of her dad. Yeah, he's like in Futurama a lot. It was just like in my head. It was like I know this voice. It was just so weird, like listening to it. And Maurice, no, what is his name? I forgot. This one's I was having trouble.
Marissa Marsh.
I was having trouble paying attention to Hey Arnold. It was like it wasn't that interesting. I think it had good structure as far as like storytelling and stuff like that. But it was just like a really weird mood and like a really weird. Just like very leisurely. Like, I don't know. Maybe if I was a kid, I would watch it. I mean, I don't know. Like even the premise, like spelling bee, that's like a super American thing that I never understood. Is that like a real thing?
I've never been to a spelling bee.
Thing. There's competitions and everything on TV.
And it's like
too.
big? Because like I've only seen the movies and TV shows, like spelling bee.
I remember growing up, it was big in the sense that you could literally flip a channel and there'd be the national spelling bee going on. And
is English so terrible that you have to memorize words to spell?
But you know how
I don't know
the
what
words
that
are?
phenomenon
There's no
is.
connection to the
That's
phonetics.
what I mean.
You just memorize. Yeah.
It's an athletic sport to memorize how to spell words.
But okay, I want to add something before Tim goes on and you go on, because Tim mentioned a really good point. Is that I noticed in watching these shows, it's just very interesting. Like I've not lived in the States for a while now, and it's just interesting noticing how many sort of like, I don't want to say stereotypical, but sort of like poster child things from like American culture are so ingrained in the shows. Like for instance, like you mentioned, like spelling bee, like that's something that isn't necessarily like, not like every American like does spelling bees or goes to spelling bees, but everyone's aware of it, but somehow it just got into the culture that it's just become, and I think TV shows maybe even perpetuated some of these sort of stereotypes. Yeah. But you watch the shows and you see like they're all there, you know, they're always incorporated somehow in the episodes. And Phil picked out a couple of episodes, and just from those episodes, you already see those patterns in
Americanism.
Yeah, it's just really interesting because when you're a kid
in America,
I didn't think about any of that stuff. Like you're just watching it, and it's like you were just thinking about the story and the characters. And now, like, you know, having grown up and everything, it's like you're looking at it from a different perspective. You realize like they're just everywhere. Like in every episode, there's some sort of typical, you know, example.
Spelling bees, cheerleaders, the band.
Well, Tim, so you just watched. So am I correct to thinking that you just watched that spelling?
Yeah, I didn't watch the pigeon
watch
thing.
The next one.
That was happening.
Oh, the Pigeon Man. See, I was hoping you'd be able to watch. But
What? I didn't watch the pigeon.
The Pigeon Man? Yeah, I know. The Pigeon Man was funny. Anyway, it's okay. But I wanted to say, like, this.
What's the Hey Arnold about? What is this show about?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna say, like, it's about this kid. His name is Arnold, right? You know him. You've seen him. He's in the episode.
Head.
Yeah,
he has a football head.
As in his
and
head
it's
is
just
shaped
about
like a football.
What is it do?
Not an actual football head.
And there was before I say anything, there was this huge, like, not debate, but just like theorizing of, does he wear a kilt or what is that?
That's right.
Why is he wearing that? I have no idea, but it's just like a long sleeve shirt underneath.
I thought it was like one of those, like shirts
body.
you put on around your waist to be cool in the 90s.
Yeah,
something like that. I don't know. And basically, it's just him living. It's just him living with his grandma and grandpa in a border house. Is that what it's called? Right, a border home. Yeah, in a border hound.
Border hound. The new dog.
Border.
My border hound.
And a border hound in what I assume is Brooklyn, but I wouldn't be too sure because I know nothing.
Oh yeah,
about
this
New
was
York.
like city. It wasn't suburbia.
Yes, city life.
That was nice.
And
it was different.
The entire show is basically him and all of the people that he knows around his neighborhood and kind of their stories. So it's not just about him because there's more. There's different episodes centered around almost every character that you see in the intro.
That is interesting,
but
though.
it is
for sure,
focused on Arnold himself.
Arnold sometimes wasn't even, like you said, the focal point.
Yeah, sometimes. And I think the main kind of arc that everyone kind of was most interested in was Helga Pataki, who is like the bully girl with the unibrow. And, she always says that she hates Arnold, but she actually loves Arnold. And she has like this whole, she has this whole like giant shrine in her room
a saga,
and stuff
though,
like
because
that.
when you're watching the TV show,
It's
you're
a saga.
always wondering when she will either tell him or someone will find out or Arnold will find out.
Because even in this episode, it was like, and
it's hilarious.
If he loses, I lose. If he wins, I lose. And I was like, are they like, is there secretly, like even in one episode, I picked up on that.
Mm-hmm.
And Arnold doesn't know anything about this because to him, she's just a bully.
Do
right?
And Arnold's
do they consume their love in the end?
I don't remember, actually.
Consummate, not consume.
You're going to have to watch. No, I don't think
it's one of those things where I think
always,
they just never concluded it, I think.
Yeah, but there is the Hey Arnold Jungle movie, which came out in like 2016. What? So that's like the last episode, essentially, which kind of concludes everything. But I've never seen it.
I see it like an image on the
because I've seen so many episodes
of them kissing, but it could be fake.
There's fan art. Yeah. But that was the main kind of. I think that was the most popular kind of like saga in the Hey Arnold show. But everything else, like I said, there's like stories about his grandparents and stories about like the neighbor, stories about the other kids and stuff like that. And they all kind of. It's fun. It's like a nice sitcom, but it's not like no one's sitting because like it's all in one whole street.
So what did you think growing up watching it? What do you think now?
I think growing up watching it was always fun watching it when it was on. And I really liked it. And this was the most interesting. And I was like, I got to watch more episodes of this. So I kind of watched a little too many
for the
show. I like 5.
I mean, to me as a kid,
for me,
sorry. As a kid, it would be probably one of those shows. I don't know, actually. Probably one of those shows that I'll watch because it's like, I'll watch this. It's not like, I didn't go like, oh my goodness, I gotta watch this, nor is it like offensive, but it's like, I would watch it, like, hey, nothing else is on, I'll watch it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. It's created by this guy called Craig Bartlett, and in fact, Nickelodeon had a whole podcast series where they interviewed all the creators of all the old shows, and they were talking about it. It was really candid, and it was really great. It's actually on YouTube, I think. It's really nice to listen to if anyone's interested.
You can link it up. So growing up, I think this was a show that I like to watch. I think maybe what more Tim was saying, like casual watching, was like, from the other shows, it might have been my favorite. This was like a nice, chill show where, Arnold was a cool character. He's like this chill kid who like is a good guy. You get a lot of these stories from different characters, and I like the vibe. Like you said, Tim, like sort of like city, different. Some quirky stuff. His apartment upstairs was super cool. His room, he had this like
everyone loved his apartment.
He had this glass roof, and there was a lot of things I liked about the show. I think mostly the vibe of the show, and also if you watch some more episodes, it does deal with a lot of other topics that other shows never really dealt with, what? like therapy, like going like trauma, like immigration. Okay. That's interesting.
Like all kinds of other stuff, because there's all kinds of different characters from different backgrounds and stuff. Cool. Like being Jewish.
That's kind of cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I think watching it now, as a grown up, it surprisingly held up pretty okay. Like I don't remember anything being so different that I remember, but there is something that stood out to me, which I'll mention a little bit later. Like in general, like comments about these shows, I noticed something that all of them have in common, which I didn't realize as a kid. But we'll get to that later.
Okay. Yeah.
The last thing for Hey Arnold, and also I watched this first, so I think thinking about it now, I was like easing into this, 90s world, so I was a little bit less, I guess, receptive. But so I'm thinking I might watch a little bit more of these. I'm thinking about it now. I think I like it more than when I watched it. Just thinking about you, so I might watch another episode of this just because I feel like it would be more vibe. This would be more of my vibe. But also the one thing I want to point out that the episode I watched. So in here goes spelling bee, and the cash prize is $500, and he's like thinking with his friend, like, what is he going to buy?
In 90s money, that's a lot.
Yep, and he wants to buy the synthesizer, and he's talking about how many megabytes of memory it has and how many preloaded sounds, and it's amazing. And then his little dream of him owning it and playing it, like this little jazz tune. Like Phil, you have that weird nostalgia / like ASMR feeling when you're watching like Spielberg movies, like 70s dusty movies.
Oh yeah.
That's one of my. There's like this really weird late 80s, early 90s era of just culture, like visual and sound and music of like this jazz inspired like saxophones with like lots of echo and like those synthesizers and just everything color and everything is skewed in the colors. There's like a rapping dog. This
a rapping dog. There's always a rapping dog in the 90s.
Just coming into my brain, there's like this strange visual world, like this crazy universe reality that exists in that time. That it does the exact same thing to me, that I love it, but I'm also extremely afraid of it. And I think it's just like watching this stuff as a little kid.
Yeah.
It's like, it's like this strange reality. Like everything's like really skewed and like proportions are all crazy in the 90s, like with cartoons and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And just gives me that fear, but also like comfort at the same time feeling. So I want to find really like actual, because none of these shows were that show, but I think of that era, there were a bunch of shows that.
Yeah. I think the early 90s stuff, like Rocko's Modern Life.
It's crazier.
Yeah. That's way crazier and wackier.
It's almost like this strange Picasso.
Yes.
TV.
Yes.
It's good stuff.
I wanted to say that the Hey Arnold theme song is amazing. I think one of the best show TV songs. And a lot of these shows have amazing TV song intros. I want to mention Rugrats is also a really, really, in my opinion, very iconic and nostalgic theme song. But what I noticed is that the music in the show itself isn't as good as the theme intros.
You have to pay the extra bucks for
like,
the theme.
Yeah, the theme intro is like, it really gets you in the zone. I think they're like masterpieces in like capturing the feel, right, of what they want it to show. Like Hey Arnold, diddle 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 diddle. Dun, 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 dun. It's like that very jazz, like you said, inspired. Kind of roots of the city.
Yeah, that's why New York. That's yeah.
It's like they just nailed it. And then the show has like not very good music, and it's the same thing like Rugrats. It's like everything feels just so flat. But that was interesting because as a kid, again, I just didn't notice that. I was just like, what stuck to me was the intro, cool, the best song, and then just think about the whole show like that. And the second thing I wanted to say is that Tim now linked in this chat we have, he linked this image from the Hey
Jungle
Arnold,
movie from 2016.
Oh, that's from the movie. Okay, yeah. So look, the kiss
of them kissing, Arnold and Helga kissing, which I didn't know. But listen to this. I'm looking at these images. And look at the quality, right? Like the quality is very like crisp. It's very, clean. The lighting is dynamic and stuff like that. That's how I thought the show was like
in your head, right?
The TV show, I was like, and then when I was watching the episodes again, I was like, what is going on? Why is this so flat? Why is nothing, there's no dynamics anywhere? Amazing.
Well, perfect. That's how things change. Things change with digital animation. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, let's go to the next one. I really want to hear your opinion on this one. This one is Kablam. This one came out in 1996 and finished in 2000, so it's only had 4 years. I think it's the least longest running show on this category that we had. And this one was interesting. Jacob, you probably want to talk more about this.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think Kablam, I think it had a subliminal influence on me just because I think that it was a TV show where even now when I watched it, you can really tell that the creators of the show were having a lot of fun making sort of a, tongue-in-cheek, satirical commentary show, but they wrapped it and presented it for kids. It's not like groundbreaking in terms of there's probably other shows out there that sneakily put on a lot of adult things. And I'm not saying it's adult, but they do a lot of sort of like insider filmmaker stuff that I think that a lot of kids maybe, went over their head. Some of the like vibes reminded me of, I don't know if you guys remember Freakazoid.
Yes. It's like the best show ever.
Yeah. Freakazoid is like amazing.
I love Freakazoid.
Just because of like the content and how much, sort of, it's not really like you have to be older to understand the stuff they're talking. And you have to also be interested in movies to understand what the jokes are.
Yeah, but even so, it was so funny for me when I was a kid too, when I didn't understand any of it.
Yeah. Yeah, and Kablam was like one of those examples where it's just like something sort of from left field, even from like Nickelodeon, where they're just messing with some ideas and it was kind of experimental and the humor was a little bit, kind of off, like, silly, but not like that standard approach of them writing something. It was just like people coming up with wacky things. And I think it influenced me in a sense of like sort of earlier on discovering that kind of tone. And then later on, when discovering other films or other sort of creative things, just kind of it stuck with me sort of earlier on, whereas maybe someone might have discovered those things when they were like 17 or 18, that kind of humor. This was kind of like my primer into satire and stuff like that without me knowing it until I was older. And then you discover, movies like we discovered like Top Secret, that movie, like spoof movies. I remember our cousin Stan, who was, also on The Matrix.
Yeah, the legendary cousin Stan.
Legendary guru, he introduced us to like this idea of spoof. He said like, don't you guys know what a spoof movie is? Like, you guys know movies, you don't know what spoof is? And we're like, what's a spoof? Tell us what's a spoof. He's like, it's making fun of other movies.
Or is it a poof?
And we're like, oh, there's a whole genre of movies making fun of other movies. Yeah, he's like, go watch Top Secret. The whole movie's at one big, joke, making fun of other movies.
A revelation.
And it was a revelation.
Yeah, it was a revelation. I was amazed. I was like, what? This exists?
This is legal?
This is legal?
Yeah. And then that's, this is kind of, then you discover those spoof movies and you find out there's a whole genre and all that stuff. But this was kind of the early examples of that. So what'd you think, Tim, of Kablam?
So like absurdist comedy is like my jam, 100%. Big fan of Adventure Time and all YouTube poop and anything YouTube really like that. But I have to say, out of these, this was like the weakest one for me. It was like I had no laughs, nothing. I don't know if it was. Well, first of all, it starts off with ska music, and it got me worried. And then I would say the presenters are the weakest thing. Like the animation is absolute garbage.
I love it. It's so bad.
I like the animation though. Yeah,
it's just a joke. Like I love this kind of stuff.
Wait. Which one did you watch? Which one did you watch?
I watched
the superpower one or the one with the
superpower
Richard Simmons.
One.
Okay.
Yeah. Action League with like the dog.
Action League, no.
Godzilla.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
It's like I don't know. Like
so nothing.
I didn't find it.
not even Meltman who melts.
No, I think I've seen too much of this that I think was done better. Even just like the Action League with the action figure, like Robot Chicken or Team America World Police.
Yes.
Just because you've seen so much
before.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't see this. I just saw this now. So I seen things that do have that humor, but were a little less.
We're better. Yeah.
Safe, and I think much more funnier, and just of the absurdity of it. This one is a little bit too, like I guess for kids, absurd comedy for kids. Yeah. And as an adult, it's like okay. I mean, maybe if I was a kid.
One thing I noticed watching this again is exactly that. Is like I remember it being much more interesting and funny when you're a kid, and now watching it again. You don't even like there's not really any jokes per se. Like you can tell they're like trying to like be funny with what they're writing, but there's never like any sort of like strong punchline or anything like that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a bunch of like
and a recliner.
the funniest thing, like none of them like made me laugh. Like even just like I was like befuddled. The one with the hair gel, that weird fat, like that was so confusing. Like the shapes of them.
That was amazing.
And it was like
I like that one.
I couldn't figure. Like I also made me think of like what happened to hair gel. Like there must have been $1 billion market hair gel in the 90s and the 2000s, just gone. But the one that I laughed my ass off and I thought it was amazing was the alien and the caveman.
Yes, I knew you would.
like
I was
that one.
thinking this had to be something.
I was thinking
like that.
For me, watching again, I was like, this is so boring. I haven't forwarded it. I didn't like it as a kid, but I realized that you're gonna love the
or at least have some
funny,
reaction.
Man.
I hoped Tim would get some reaction because I always thought of that. Yeah. And when the movie Prometheus came out, all I could think about is Prometheus from Kablam.
So for those who don't know, this is a little segment in Kablam called
Prometheus and Bob.
Yeah, Prometheus and Bob, and the concept is a stop motion, and the concept is an alien landed and is trying to teach a caveman things, and he's logging the recordings.
Yeah, and he's
teaching him
like
baseball and like I don't know.
I just loved it because it was like I don't know. It was just so it didn't lead anywhere. It was just completely stupid, and it was just like you could see it was just jokes. They were sitting there. It was like, what if it was just a train of thought, and I love that about it. It didn't see like premeditated. It was just really train of thought, and it was amazing.
One thing I think why I liked it also like, as a kid, and I have to say like it's commendable is that they really just tried to pack in the show with sort of variety. Like they had this weird, Prometheus thing. Then they had this like
Life with Loopy.
Like I hate it.
Dude,
I hate that today so much.
I have good for reminding me because I'm looking at this note and it says Loopy is the stuff of nightmares, and I couldn't remember what the hell was Loopy. What the hell was Loopy? What was that?
The girl
like, turns into an egg.
Oh God!
No, you guys hate it.
You know what I hate?
I'm indifferent. I think it's a little boring. That's all.
It's stupid.
The saddest part of it was that adult fighting the mosquito, and it's just like, it's just like, man.
Well, it's interesting because
what a wacky thing.
It's funny because like there's a lot of other shows from Nickelodeon that has that sort of thing in it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, SpongeBob has that too, doesn't it?
I guess
not as extremely, but yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that you can find that so annoying.
Did you guys watch the episode with the kid and the lice?
Oh man,
no, I just watched this one.
I wanted to. Oh, that's ugliest.
Ingrained in my memory.
Yeah.
I guess Tim, you should watch the little clip. It's like I think 5 or 6 minute story, but
it's so disgusting.
You might find the animation.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, gross.
Yeah, that was in the other Kablam episode. And guess what?
I wanted to say,
No, I was gonna say like, I just found out Angela Anaconda started in Kablam.
I would assume
that's where I know
this is stuff of nightmares. This variety show that
I have to say, looking back, I think Action League. I remember being so much better when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Now watching it, it's like Action League. Now it's like nothing happens. It's just like people just say some things and it just cuts the next thing.
Yeah.
It's like.
Oh, and also,
so
you know the song "Hold a Diver."
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
From
Who do you think I think of? I think of Stinky Diver from.
You do
all the time. Like when you say "Hold a diver," da 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 in the midnight sea, and I think of him.
What other shows were there on Kablam? I'm trying to think if we covered them all.
Action League.
I think we did.
Yeah. I mean, that's Kablam for you, like the ugly animation.
But again, like I want to say, as a kid, again, it was just something that was like very intriguing because it was so different from all the other shows. It felt like it was doing something different. But
and they had a song. They had like a music video with "They Might Be Giants" as well. Remember that?
Oh, you mean the sun is a gas?
Yeah. The sun is a massive incandescent gas.
Yeah.
Advanced nuclear furnace where hydrogen is built into helium. Millions and millions of degrees. Yeah. Good song. Tim's just like doesn't.
Tim's like, okay,
I mean, I'm not. I know nothing, so I'm just sitting here for you guys to reminisce.
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. All right, so let's move on to the last two ones that we have, which is, I guess we could do
Rocket Power.
New Squid in Town. This was my favorite show as a kid. Especially on Nickelodeon. This was the top. This is what I loved because it was a combination of. Like it was just, when you watch TV and, you're just hoping one of these shows has everything you like at that age. And this had that, right? Because it was like cool character, you know, who's just like cool. He's a cool kid.
Yeah.
Skateboarding. It's just pure all sports, skateboarding, skating, surfing,
extreme sports. Yeah.
And it's just all that. And it's like, no one can stop me now. It's going to be every episode of Rocket Power is going to have some of this, you know?
Yes.
Because other shows, like, you have to always sort of like, you know, like, you know, get through the
I'm late for school again.
Like, yeah, this. And it's like, oh, fine. Maybe there's going to be something cool here. But no, this was my jam.
Yeah. Jacob really liked it. I enjoyed it much as well. Rocket Power. We are riders
on a mission, action.
That theme song was legendary. It was like, it was beautiful. There were like 50 genres in that intro.
Great.
It's amazing. I love it.
Did you notice the style of art is different for the intro? It's like Reggie, or not Reggie,
Fiame?
What's his name? No, the main character.
Oh,
Otto, his like eyes are black and everything. Is interesting.
Yeah,
it's like a 33 different like titles. Like it was amazing.
Yeah.
I was like, I was kind of a little bit disappointed when the show started. It wasn't so high energy as that intro. Like I was like, what's gonna? For a moment, I thought it was like, you know, it's gonna go sci-fi or something like that. Like just how it starts. It's like, what? They're gonna go to realities? There's time traveling. What's happening?
That'd be awesome.
No, they're just a bunch of kids in California that love playing all kinds of extreme sports and getting to normal, relatable extreme sports things.
Yep.
Like all these
in Southern California.
All these cartoons have a lot of like what's that, like slang words and idioms.
They tried hard here.
That you don't necessarily like. Some of them I understood. Some of them were like, oh yeah, they used to say that. But this one was like the mother lode of just every second word was like a slang word of stuff. I love it. You know, talking about the zine and like she's going on a skateboard, like do a varial, and I'm like, oh, I haven't heard these words in so many years.
It was really like just sort of coming back to all that stuff. You know,
like Gandalf in the Mines of Moria. Yes, heard it. Yes, I knew of this place.
Yes, I remember. Varials.
That's so true, though.
Talking about his computer,
especially
laptops, and publishing.
Oh, publishing! In the episode, he's like, you don't want to publish with that.
Yeah,
and it's like publishing.
The laptop.
And then I remember I was thinking to myself, like, what does he mean publishing? I was thinking like, huh? And by the way, Tim, listen to this. It's been so long of us having the internet now. I was thinking publishing, like a blog online.
Yes. Like, is he going to help her with HTML?
Yeah. And then later in the episode, he's like presses a button and prints out from the printer. I was like, of course. Printing.
Yes, of course.
That was awesome.
So I'm glad you watched the first episode then. That was like the very first episode.
That
was like because like one of the kid moves in, so I guess it was a start.
By the way, you know what's interesting, guys? I don't know how it was for you, Phil, but like when I was watching these episodes, it's really an interesting experience because I forgot about these episodes, but when you watch them again, everything comes back to you.
Yes.
It's like everything's just reloading in the system. It's like, oh, because I remember everything, let's say, from these episodes.
I remember.
When I finish watching them, it's like everything's coming back, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I feel it the same way. I feel exactly the same way. Yeah,
especially because I probably watched a lot of these episodes again and again and again. Yeah. But anyway,
so Tim, your impression of this.
When it finished, I kind of was a little bit disappointed that it didn't go somewhere fantasy, sci-fi, or something like that. Like, I think it felt like a good setup to like going crazy 90s time. Like they're like a gang of four kids, and they have to go through these hijinks and like, you know, something even crazier. Because of like the intro made me think of that, and like it was good setup. So it was like more real life and stuff. I think it's also same like Arnold. Like when I was watching it, I was like, I don't know, not really grabbing my attention, you know, kids talking about skateboarding and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's just going to be kids talking about skateboarding and going into their everyday lives. But a little bit exaggerated. But
I'm curious, like, you know, like, I guess I'm curious where does it go? Is it more of like a, you know, villain of the week episode where stuff happens, or is it more like a long storyline? Like there's a progression of these kids?
No, it's all just isolated. And it's usually like sort of like quasi lessons, but surprisingly, if I remember right, like a lot of the lessons are more like for instance, Otto wants to do like a 900, you know, on his skateboard, and he's like trying all day.
Who's Otto?
Like, the main kid,
like the hero, like the Otto Rocket with the dreads.
Oh,
sunglasses.
I guess
Like
the new
stuff like
kid
that.
was interesting to me. Like this little nerd kid with his baggy pants. He was cool.
Sam.
I didn't like the kid that was like, I'm not the squid. That one was annoying the crap out of me.
Yeah, what was his name?
Twister.
Twister. Yeah.
I like the girl. She was cool. So I would watch more adventures of the kid, the nerdy kid and the girl. I think that was the interesting part. The rest of it was like, oh God, the squid stock needs to stop immediately.
Well, I mean, like, so like other episodes are like, for example, one of the like a neighborhood. There's a bunch of other kids in the neighborhood, and one of them, like, their parents are out and their pool is like there's no water in the pool. And they're like, that's awesome. We can go and like skate on it,
Yeah, make a half.
And he's like, but my parents will, that kind of thing. And then, like these kinds of lessons learned things because like when the pool, like then everyone in the entire like town, like the entire neighborhood knows about the place and they all start skating there and, oh no, my mom.
But Phil, it's interesting. Some of these lessons don't even
California
like resolve
troubles.
because
it's California troubles.
After they all go and then smash the pool, then it's like Otto has to go like clean up the pool, and it just like ends. There's like no like lesson. Even like Otto's dad, who runs the shore shack,
and with his friend Tito. Yeah,
he's
about
like,
Tito. Tito wasn't in that episode you watched.
No, just some old dude like with a model mailbox.
This Hawaiian guy.
Yeah.
Hey, little brothers.
I think if I recall correctly, the show was like sort of low on these lessons. It was more like just like these fun action stuff,
vignettes.
So believe it or not, I think most people who look back at Rocket Power and all those Nickelodeon shows, they would say that's their least favorite. I don't know why.
What?
I know, right?
Who are these people? Who are they?
They're dumb. They don't have good taste. They don't know about the California troubles.
The true California troubles. The waves.
Yeah.
There's a California.
California skateboard. Watch out, Otto.
The waves.
Oh, yeah. Speaking of which, man, we can transition so easily from here. Yes. The gorillas. Smashing.
Okay, so I have to say, the Wild Thornberrys, when I was a kid, I think I liked watching this show because it was like a little more exotic, and I liked some of the characters. But my goodness, was this boring watching it this time.
I'm going to have to agree,
so
hands
bored.
down.
I could barely even finish one episode.
That's interesting.
What was happening?
Which one did you watch, by the way?
I watched the one with the lions.
That's the one I watched.
Okay, good.
By the way, quick fact is one of the lines I'm pretty sure is the voice of Yzma.
Oh, Eartha Kitt? Probably.
I think so, yeah.
Could be. Yeah, I also had I know that voice moment with one of the lionesses.
So you like this?
Oh, this was the most I was engaged with for some reason. Yeah. I was like, I'll watch more of this. I don't know. Maybe
I thought you would find this the most boring. I almost thought maybe I shouldn't even put it on the list, honestly.
Maybe it was just this episode. It felt like from the other ones, I felt like there's more to the show as far as overall. The other ones felt okay. Maybe I changed my mind on
Samey.
Changed my mind on Arnold, but I think the other ones was like, okay, this is an episode, and then I watched the next episode. It had nothing to do with the other ones. This one felt like there's like a storyline maybe to it. Like I jumped into
this.
Yeah.
Like there's like progression, the family's moving, and I felt like
they go all around the world.
Yeah.
And also, it wasn't like American suburbia, so it was like visually, it was like no more 90s like stupid pink houses. I can't look at those anymore. So it was like, okay, this is
damn pink houses.
Also interesting, I totally forgot about the plot point about her being able to talk with the animals. When the intro was playing, I was like, oh my goodness, like that's actually a good idea. I didn't even think about that because in my memory, it was just them on the safari all the time. I was like, that's boring.
I'm watching the intro and it's like, oh, they're family.
It's me,
and
Eliza Thornberry.
And they're like filming stuff, and it's like, yeah, this is cool. And she can talk to animals. Like, where did that? Wait, what?
Yeah,
like completely out of the blue. I was like, that took
and
a
also
left.
her monkey friend. I forgot about him completely.
Yeah, Darwin.
There's Darwin.
Oh, I got some trivia for you. So
and
that little
child?
Wild boy.
Yeah.
The child. I forgot.
Donnie,
about him too.
right? That's his name. Guess who's the voice of Donnie? You won't. You will never know.
Elijah
it's Flea
Wood.
from Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Oh,
what?
That's funny.
Yeah,
Flea.
Yeah. He always does that. Yeah.
So the Wild Thornberrys, I knew of the meme, obviously smashing. That's the only thing I knew.
Smashing.
Wait. Oh, you mean the Nigel.
Like the photoshopping of his face onto everything. And then I also I saw the older daughter, Debbie, because like on Reddit, like, you know, like, oh, this is our childhood crush. You know, that's like,
oh yeah.
I've seen the picture of her in the context. So that's the only two things I knew about the show, just that meme. And then I saw pictures of her. That's all I knew about this. So it was interesting to get context of what the show, like I would never expect that to be the context of family shooting a documentary and just going around the world. It was so bizarre.
It's funny. I honestly cannot remember a single episode or plot from that show. I really can't. I just have this general notions. Do you remember anything,
too.
Phil?
Nope, not at all. No. I had to watch one of the show episodes to remember what.
But that lion episode was so boring. I have no idea what happened. It's like
what?
The lion's teaching her about eating or something, and at the end she's like, okay.
Somebody don't you like that 90s style? Don't you like how stylized those animals are?
Somebody really needs to show the people who illustrated that show what a lion looks like. What was wrong with the faces of the lions?
What was that?
That was nothing to do with a lion. It was a man.
I was like also confused. I was like, what is happening?
There was the most bizarre, like it's like those, you know, those paintings of like medieval when they're trying to draw animals and they're like completely wrong.
Fail.
Yeah.
Human face is like a dog with a human face.
I know Google didn't exist back then. Just go to library and just open a book what a lion looks like.
Just go to the zoo.
Yeah.
Freaking zoo.
I mean,
just
Tim,
take a trip.
Tim, you know exactly who voiced Nigel Thornberry, right?
No, I have no idea. Who is it?
Tim Curry.
Oh, okay. No, it's just like a generic, like, smash.
Also, Tim, if you're ever watching our episodes, I think what I can now is coming back to me is that van. I think is very interesting. There's a lot of cool things
it's a big
I
van.
I liked as a kid. They had like technology and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, because like they go like if they're in a river, they can inflate it and then it can become a boat. And
I always wanted to take a ride in that.
Did you guys watch?
Yeah, like I think
never happened.
Sorry, I like that. I like road tripping in like to me, a very comfortable feeling is like road tripping, like shows about road tripping in a vehicle that you get to know over time. So maybe that's one of the things. Like I watched Ben 10 when I was older.
Yeah, Ben 10.
Watched that
I never seen an episode of Ben 10.
Yeah,
but I was
for some
very
reason
aware
I was like
of its existence.
15, 16.
Ben 9.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Yeah.
For some reason, I had a like for the first season. Then it got like stupid. But for the first season, I had a soft spot. Even though I was like I remember like explaining like I know I'm too old for this show, but for some reason I'm like loving this. But I love that.
I have no idea what it's about.
He's got aliens in him, and he can transmorph into aliens.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah.
And he fights like other stuff. I don't remember honestly.
Other stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. But yeah, so
yeah.
No, go.
I wanted to say some final remarks about my experience watching these shows. And
so did you have a crush on Debbie?
I don't think
Debbie?
so.
Whatever.
As a kid,
Like Debbie. But you know what?
I found think so.
Here's going to be some interesting. Well, I think Jacob was like
her ripped jeans were very intriguing.
That's true. That's true.
That intrigued
the revealing
me as a child.
knees. Yeah.
What? Her knees are revealed, but there's a monkey. There's a talking monkey next to it in a shirt.
Yeah,
but you're like the knees. I must know about these knees.
Yeah.
What do you want to say, Phil?
Well, me, I just had some interesting, like, strange. I don't think I've ever felt this before, but
what is happening?
when you were a missionary kid, there were some little missionary kid vibes in here, just because you have these American children who are out somewhere else. Not in the original country, right?
I was
some kind of weird.
I was a bit worried. I was really a bit worried about, since we moved on quite a lot from like as far as cultural appropriation and humor not being disrespectful of cultures. Like it was like them going to Africa. I was immediately worried. Like, oh my god,
you're gonna see.
This is gonna be something really bad here. So I was really happy. Like, nothing really terrible happened except the lions, faces of lions. But it was like, okay, no, they didn't put any like.
I know what you're getting for Christmas this year, Tim. You're gonna get a wonderful portrait of those lions.
So here am I.
You can hang it up at Agatha's room.
Here's what I wanted to mention really quick about having watched all these shows again. Yeah. What I mentioned earlier that I wanted to mention now is that I noticed something that I completely didn't notice as a kid watching these shows again. And that is that I cannot believe at the just the levels of energy and pacing of these episodes really just floored me.
Yeah.
I think as you get older, I think that everything sort of moves faster. You're busier. You're doing all kinds of stuff, and so you appreciate when you watch something that takes its time, and you can sort of get into the zone of something. And I really couldn't believe that every single one of these shows, there was just so much going on and so much happening in terms of everything was so fast, so quick. Everything was just, I think even if I'm not mistaken, that 22-minute block was sometimes they would combo 2 episodes in one of those blocks. You have 2 10-minute episodes or 2 11-minute episodes. And I don't know, to me, it was difficult to watch some of this stuff now. I just felt like, what's going on? Why are you going so quickly, through everything?
Interesting.
Like everyone's just saying things. And the funny thing is, like, you look at it now and it's like, I feel like, even some of the content, like what the characters are saying and stuff, it's like a lot of that is just sort of there. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of weight or meaning to it. Like you could have a more quality show if you just took those 22 minutes and did something with that, right? And took your time. But it just felt very pumpy, just get it out,
Yeah, I guess so.
And
Attack of the Senses.
And it also brought me back to sort of maybe a bigger theme, which is just sort of this, this American television storytelling and producing, is that these are all great examples. I didn't even realize that growing up, is that a lot of these kids shows, they're so like, it's so, it comes from that world of TV and commercial TV, where everything is structured around the commercials, everything's structured around this, I don't know, you want to call it primetime television, or just like putting out these episodes, putting out the content.
Yeah, filling out the time.
Yeah, it's just like, so you can see it's so ingrained in how those shows are produced that you just don't notice that until you get older and until you see other, shows and productions and, and how other countries do it and things like that, and sort of what the intent is behind it and how the show got funded and what company. And it's just so weird to me, because like I feel like a lot of these shows, they just have so much more potential in them, but it just, to me, it's like I really can't believe how a lot of this stuff I was just totally fine with. You're watching and you don't see that, and you get older, it's just like, wow, like I can't believe how fast paced, how in your face everything is, and there's no room to breathe ever. So that was really interesting to me watching it again.
Well, that was that kind of format.
You guys didn't feel that way at all?
I did feel that it was very, like the basics had to be presented in a way where it moves the plot along within 22 minutes or 10 minutes, But I felt like...
I know, but didn't you ever get that vibe? Like I had that feeling a lot of times where I felt like, okay, well then why are we watching this? Like, why are we watching this show if we're just rushing through everything? It's like I ask myself, if you're trying to make quality content, quality programming or whatever, I mean, this is why Mr. Rogers is like the best, right? Because I don't know if you know about Mr.
I did not
Rogers
expect Rogers to pop in there.
Me either.
Listen, Mr. Rogers, he saw the problem with TV and this kind of entertainment. I'm not blaming like Nickelodeon. I grew up with stuff. I love that stuff. I'm saying like he saw like what the core issue of it was, and he said, let's stop. Let's be patient. Let's talk about these things. Let's, be present. And I just got reminded of some of that stuff, because I just really... it comes to a point where it's like, these shows really could be, so much better if they just took their time. Just tell a good story. Tell something worthwhile. You don't have to rush through everything and just to satisfy everything and just get done with it. And then there's so much of it. Like there's like seasons and seasons and seasons of these shows.
Seasonings.
It's weird. Like having grown up now, it's just weird to like see what the context of how these shows were made.
What a revelation.
It is a revelation to me, because I thought it was in my head, like those HD photos. That was every episode.
Just like,
and also, I can't also tell you how like it's so strange, like how visually also everything is so flat. Like everything's like in this tiny box.
I mean, you're used to the good quality stuff. I'm sorry, this paper thin.
Yeah.
Look isn't appealing to your senses anymore.
Didn't you guys find that strange?
Taste.
Like sort of that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I don't think I felt that, honestly.
Interesting.
To me, it was honestly the thing that I keep like struggling. I forgot a little bit about like in context what you were saying, that how these shows were structured about the episode, and like since 2010s, like most stories, most cartoons have this overarching story. Even if they're like villain of the week, there's always something that's moving the plot along.
I mean,
the
yeah,
big
it does.
Picture. Like Adventure Time, what was it called?
Oh no, Adventure Time's like another level.
Yeah, but like
I think what Tim is saying, that like shows have sort of like they've caught on to the fact that like you can't just like isolate little episodes. And I think part of that's probably how we also watch shows is different now, because back then literally me and Phil are perfect examples where you just channel surf. You just go up and down and Hey Arnold's here, and you watch an episode of Hey Arnold.
Yeah. And you have that, the towns, like, Gravity's Falls, but I guess I'm spoiled by like, and everyone was kind of inspired by that. Like, so just going back to just, this is it. This is basically this is what happens. This episode, and that's it. It's like, it's
but
next
that's what I'm trying to
episode.
tell you, Tim. That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Is I'm getting at is that like, it's such a strange sort of notion to see that, play out. It's just like so simple. It's like, here it is, done. And it's like, and even Rocket Power, like for instance, like Rocket Power, just like no lessons. Like if you're going to talk about lessons, nothing.
I mean,
it's just
they have some.
But it's like very surfacey. Like pick one from the hat.
From the hat.
Lesson number 2: don't be, bullies are just jealous of you. But it's funny.
Yeah, don't lie.
Yeah,
or something like that.
It's like it's stuff like, let's fill out this this schedule of the day, and it's like. Kids will love it because stuff is happening, and a kid will love anything really. Kid will watch anything on the TV.
That's what also kind of reminded me is like I just started to realize now that I'm also going to be a dad. It's like I realize that I watch this stuff too, and it's so true. It's like a kid will watch anything. Now, obviously,
kid will watch Anaconda Angelina, whatever her name is.
Totally.
My name is Angela. Hey, hello. Welcome to my very
just
own
so
show.
fascinating to see about like how you watch these things and there's a lot of good qualities about it, but at the same time you also now realize how it's just so strange how there's just like also a lot of nothing happening in these episodes. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I guess it fulfills it by being entertaining, at least.
I mean,
that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, but entertainment just for that sake. I mean, I don't know.
I think
like
we live in a
sometimes I think
different
you should do. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I have no idea.
So Phil,
I wanted to give some concluding remarks, though.
Okay,
go for it.
Go ahead.
Stole the show.
My concluding remarks here are so these were essentially most of the
We're so used to talking about movies on this show.
Most of the shows that we watched in the 1990s, but Nickelodeon. After that, it was SpongeBob, and then SpongeBob had a bunch of other shows show up. Hey Arnold was still there. Like they kind of transitioned, from there to different shows. But I was gonna say that Tim, I don't know if you know this, but this is just one half of Nickelodeon.
What do you mean?
Because another half is all the live action stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yes, that's right. Are you talking about Nick at Night?
Nick at Night was after. No, Nick at Night was like
okay.
The Gilligan's Island and like
Cosby's.
the witch. Yeah, like what was that? Like Wanda? No, it wasn't
WandaVision.
Wanda?
No. Yeah, it was like Genie. I Dream of Genie. Like Genie, the Genie sitcom.
I free you. I don't know what you're talking about, Phil.
No. Like there are all these old reruns, all these old black and white sitcoms in Nick at Night. We don't talk about that. That's like when Nickelodeon's over and the kids go to bed at 10. Like there are these old TV shows. But I meant to say that
Company
the live, probably like but I was gonna say that the other half of Nickelodeon was the live action shows. You know what I mean?
Oh, of course.
All that.
Drake and Josh.
Come on, Drake and Josh.
All that. Tim, do you know about all that?
I know nothing about any of this.
The Amanda Show.
Goodness, the Amanda Show. You heard of that?
No, what the hell is
Amanda Bynes?
No, what is that? What is that?
You've seen Amanda Bynes in films like What a Girl Wants.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Is she like
classic.
She's like a star of Nickelodeon.
That was when she
Nickelodeon,
was
yeah.
post Nickelodeon, because she was a star of Nickelodeon.
What was the show she was on?
It was called All That, but in the show All That, also a variety show but live action, she had her own segment called The Amanda Bynes Show.
That's right. And then there was a whole show called The Amanda Show.
Yeah, and there was reoccurring cast members, and some of those cast members went on to their own shows, like Drake Bell, who ended up playing in Drake and Josh, and things like that.
Yeah. So
forgot
I
about
didn't.
that.
Yeah, I kind of separated. I wanted to do the cartoons most of the time for this, but maybe in a future twofold episode we can do those.
Phil, what was that show? The burgers, Keenan and Kel.
Good Burger. Yeah.
Good Burger.
Welcome to the Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order? Tim, that's not.
No, I'm just looking at
We're just like-
posters
we're just-
of all that. It
Yeah.
looks like when DC Talk had the first rap albums. This is what I could.
This was the era.
This all
was
all
like
reminds me of.
mid-90s,
This
I think.
is funny.
Yeah, totally.
It's all that. All that.
Yeah.
So what my closing thoughts for Phil is,
Yeah.
I've seen like pictures of these characters and shows, on the internet for the last 20 years, but not growing up with Nickelodeon. I had no idea what the context was. And so this was very informative of me of getting a little sample of the show. And now if I
agree.
see a little kid that has a face like a football and has hairs coming
Football.
out from the sides and a tiny little hat and has like a kilt, I know it's a kid from New York who lives in his grandparents. So I'll understand the context. So thank you for
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Yeah. That's true.
Awesome.
Phil, I was wondering, since we're closing here, I was wondering if you could also just do some honorable mentions of other shows that we also watched.
I
but
mean,
we
there would be
didn't
too many.
necessarily
Oh, that we didn't
watch
watch together. You mean with Tim?
Well, maybe you can just
Right.
name a couple that that we both watched. Maybe our listeners would get
Oh,
a
yeah,
kick
for
out
sure.
of maybe reminiscing through some. No, we don't have to
For
go
sure.
through them,
Like
but
there's
just sort of
Cat
mention
Dog.
some of them.
Cat Dog, I saw
Maybe
that.
Tim might
Lone
know.
Little World of the Little Cat Dog.
Yeah. For some reason, I saw
wow,
Cat
you
Dog.
saw
I'm not
Cat
sure why,
Dog.
but I did see Cat Dog. That's like the dog
Yeah.
and a cat are like mushed together into one.
That's right. Yeah, they are. And then there's Angry Beavers.
Correct. Yeah.
Love. Me too. That was great.
I love that one.
Angry Beaver.
I think. Oh! I wanted to mention, since this is just for the record, Phil and I, we actually
Okay.
taped
Oh,
a
yes.
bunch.
Check
of
out
shows
Discord.
on
I put in a
VHS.
DC Talk album cover. And
So
look at that.
Tim linked up DC Talk, which was a Christian band, and their design is very, very similar to the
Look at that. It's the
Yeah.
same thing.
material.
Just
Corporate wants to know the difference between these
That's
things.
so
the same, but
90s,
that's-
man.
Tim,
Look how 90s everybody is. Yeah.
Everyone was
logo.
doing
And they
this.
have the same hats.
And they
Hats
even
and
are like the
logo,
same
three of
like a
clothes.
funky logo,
Yeah.
fonts, looking up.
Honestly, I am nostalgic to this style.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Can't deny it.
All those plugged-in magazines.
Yeah. So there was Angry Beavers, which is hilarious. Anyway,
Yeah, so I
go.
want to say that we taped a bunch of these shows on VHS, and then later on, when we were in Europe, I remember we would
go to
watch
search.
just reruns of all these episodes.
Angry
of,
Beavers. I saw this too.
Beavers and everything.
What the hell was this?
What? No way.
Why do I know this?
It was
a
it
good
was about
show.
two beavers living in this giant house.
I like that you remember the giant house.
Yeah, I remember.
Did they
what was
put
his
this on
Dag
Cartoon
and
Network?
Something.
Dag and Norbert.
Yeah.
Did they?
yeah. And I think Dag was smart, and Norbert was the opposite.
Yeah, I
No,
saw
Dagger
this
was-
for some reason.
Was the angry, like the brown one, and Norbert was the
And
smooth one.
one of the only things ingrained in my head was backing
down the highway.
hooray.
Yeah, that's great. It's like,
Backing down the highway.
and that's the song. That's it. It stops.
I'm wondering if we should have like a revisit and watch some of the other shows for Nickelodeon.
I would
It'd be
like
fun.
to. It would be fun. Okay, so there's also As Told by Ginger, which is like a adolescent teen show, which has the same
Yeah, I don't
exact
think I
style.
ever watched
Yeah,
that.
if Tim looks at the pictures from
Told
As
by
Told by
Ginger.
Ginger, he was like, "Oh yeah, that's the exact same Klasky Cupo
Oh
style."
yeah, this is very very similar to the other stuff. I've
Yeah.
probably seen.
but it's more
But I think
teenagery.
as a kid, I was like bored because this
Yeah.
was like girly
Oh.
stuff.
Yeah, and like the really early stuff that I remember but I don't remember so much, which is why I didn't even touch it for this episode, was Doug, right?
How come you didn't like this? It's a girl with curly red hair. You're into that, Jacob?
I know, but at that age,
You-
I was too busy with the skateboards.
There's too much radness going on to look at girls.
Yeah, I had to come on, let's go, come on, skating and everything.
Yeah, okay, so then Ren and Stimpy, Rugrats Modern Life, and Real Monsters. I loved that when I was a real small kid.
Yeah, I think that was
Real
like
Monsters.
too abstract for me.
Yeah. And also just near the end, and then I think the most famous end.
Real Monsters,
the indie
wait.
one.
I played the
I
game.
like how Tim knows all these.
I played the game.
I'm glad I didn't.
No, wait. Did I? No, this is another game. Crap! It looks like a game that I played called Funk Jam. What the hell was it called? It's a Sega game. Oh, Miriam knows this.
Def Jam Fight for New York.
No. Oh, crap. Sega game. Okay, but I've seen these creatures. So strange.
Yeah, I've watched the show when I was a small kid. You know, like this is the 1994, 1995 era, so it was a little bit too far away for me to remember specifically, but I do know. And then just for the last thing, Fairly Oddparents. I think you guys all know that, right?
What's that?
Tim, you know.
Let's see.
Tim doesn't know about Fairly. I thought Tim would definitely know about Fairly Oddparents.
Tim, you didn't know about Fairly Oddparents?
Fairly
It's like everyone knows about that.
Oddparents. I've heard it. I mean, I've heard I have to Google it. I've heard this name, obviously. Timmy is I've never watched any of this.
Interesting.
That's amazing. I thought you would have seen many episodes.
Looks like Dexter's Laboratory. Is this Mike, whatever his name is?
It has...
No, it's not.
It is.
It's Butch Hartman.
This was actually I love this show as a kid. And I was always confused why they never called the show Fairly Godparents, but I think that's the pun, right? Fairly Odd Parents.
Yeah.
I love that show as a kid.
Yeah. And then like Jimmy Neutron as well. That was another one we were watching.
Dude, I love Jimmy Neutron. That was like my show.
Yeah. Jimmy Neutron. Yeah. And then it
lost you guys there for a second, but I'm back. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy Neutron. Boy genius. Brain blast.
It's like a video of the movie of that was horrible. Yeah.
Yeah, the movie sucked.
Let me think about...
There you go. Invader Zim. I loved Invader Zim, but there we go. The Invader Zim was like it came out at the right time. Tim, if you watched it at that time, I think you would be really hooked on it because it's created by Jonan Vasquez. I think you know who that is?
No, who's that?
He did the comic called... Ooh, wait. He did Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. That's like a comic that... it's like an edgy kind of thing, okay. You know, like... It seems like something you would be into if you were a teenager and you saw it.
I just remember signing up to DeviantArt in 2006 and Invader Zim was everywhere and I was really confused. Like, what the hell is
everyone loves it. Yeah, all the kids loved Invader Zim. It's a good... It's a funny show. It's very downbeat. It's a good shit.
All right, I think it's time.
That's it.
It's time to wrap this up.
We're done.
It's a long ass episode. We have backtracked into long episodes. I don't like this.
No, we haven't. I think we're good. Are we good?
We're 1 hour and 37.
1 hour 30.
Yeah.
No, Tim.
Yep.
And Phil.
Yep. We are back here. We need to go back.
No.
I can cut out all the stuff at the beginning.
No, it's fine. It's fine. We did it. It's a special. It was a lot of shows. Next time we talk about shows, only 3 shows.
Can someone put a timer on?
I have a timer the entire time.
Why didn't you say
Me too.
Anything?
You guys were reminiscing about your cartoons. I didn't want to interrupt you, but we've been in the too long zone for a while now.
Tim, but you can interrupt.
I'm keeping all this in here. By the way,
I'll turn on the
I'm keeping this in the podcast.
I was doing the classic psychological thing. Someone else will take care.
No. I was aware of it, and I was ready to wrap it up for a while. But you guys were reminiscing, so I didn't want to.
Exactly, I was aware of it, but I wanted to hear Jacob
Next
talk.
episode is 1 hour.
Well, of course it's going to be 1 hour because we're only going to talk about one movie, and it's called Clockers.
Okay. And we're watching it for only one reason, and to know why we're watching a movie called Clockers. By the way, I remembered another movie that we could watch like that because of the same reason. You'll find out next episode why the hell we're watching Clockers. You will never guess why. The reason you would never in a million years think of why we chose that movie.
But it was in our consciousness for like tens of years.
Yes. Yeah. So there's that. Okay,
so thank you for listening to Twofold. This has been our Nickelodeon special. What Nickelodeon show did you like if you watched it? And let us know in the comments.
Yes.
Let us in Tomatoes. Instagram. Twofold Podcast. New pictures.
What did you think of those lions and wild thornberries? All right.
Yeah. Gonna be dreaming of those lines.
See you guys later.
Ta-ta.
Okay, 3, 2, 1.
I think we're almost in sync.
I did it again.
It's back. Tim did it for the
Tim,
record.
you have to clap. You have to clap.
Oh man, that one stinks. Huh?
It could be a Nickelodeon sound effect.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Nickelodeon sound effects. That's something to talk about too. For some reason, I'm quite mellow. I don't know if I'm gonna get any more.
Stay mellow. That's good. Stay. So we had 5 years. We had 6 years of energetic Phil. I think we can do one.
Okay.
One special occasion.
Okay.